Hey, what's up, you guys? It's Bloody Jacob here to bring you my weekly Game of Thrones review. And I apologize for two things right now. One, my hair. I was outside for a little over 2 hours today, digging holes, planting trees, and just basically uprooting trees for my environmental stewardship class at my high school. My senior year, only have a few weeks left till I graduate. And it was pouring rain, so it was a lot of fun today. It kind of explains why my hair is sort of more of a mess than it usually is. And it's usually a mess, but, it's a little less wiry and windblown and stuff like that, I guess. But that I apologize for, and, of course, I apologize for something that's actually relevant to this video discussion. I know this review came up a couple days late now. I apologize for that. I've just had other things going on with my girlfriend, and also, just other things I've wanted to do in my own little life and stuff like that have kind of come in the way. But I do apologize for it, and I do plan on still reviewing the show till the end of the season, and then, hold out till next year, of course. And, so this week's episode is entitled The Sons of the Harpy, and, that's obviously referring to the people in masks that have been, causing a ruckus around, Daenerys' territory and stuff like that. And, before we get into it, I just wanted to say that this season of Game of Thrones has been, a little different. I know we were all kind of like riding off the hype of last season because of what happened, in the finale, like the last 3 episodes or so. I think it was the 8th episode that had the fight between Oberyn and the Mountain, and also the episode a few episodes before that where Tyrion demanded a trial by combat. And then the 9th episode was that whole, huge battle, for the wall and stuff like that with Jon Snow and stuff like that with the wildlings and different things like that. And then, of course, the 10th episode of Season 4, The Children, of course, had the big event of, Tyrion killing both Shae and Tywin. And rightfully so, in my opinion. And I just feel like we were riding off the hype of that we expected it just to go like that for the rest of the show, pretty much. I think people just, for some reason, they expect those things to happen and way more often than they actually should to feel natural for the story. And I don't. I expect things of that magnitude maybe towards the end of the season, but I also know they also have to take a few breaths and sort of lay the groundwork for the new stories that are sort of coming about. And despite me understanding that, I do recognize that it has been sort of a slower start than usual this season. I hate to compare it to last season again, but last season, I think it was the 2nd episode, at the end of it, we seen the death of Joffrey. And this season's earlier episodes, they haven't been bad, don't get me wrong. Game of Thrones always has a certain amount of quality to it, even when it's not the biggest episode in the world, or the biggest episode of the series, we still feel like, it's done well, you know what I mean? But nonetheless, it's felt like a little slow and slightly dull in certain areas, but I've still been enjoying it because, the acting is very good, and, I do enjoy seeing character interactions and slower moments and stuff like that, too. But, I'm just curious to see, how they're gonna ramp things up for the end of the season, too, so I guess I'm looking forward to that and curious about it. But, so let's talk about the main focus I have in my thumbnail here. And that would be, of course, Mr. Jaime Lannister, who went off to Dorne to, rescue Marcelle, I think her name is, who is one of Cersei's daughters, and, as far as, officially, Jaime is just her uncle, but we all know, of course, that Jaime is actually her father. And so Jaime, as he told Bronn, it had to be him that would come to rescue her instead of sending an army. He says he doesn't want to start a war, but he also feels like he needs to be involved in getting her back personally. And him and Bronn have some good discussions in this episode, some interesting ones. They talk about how they both want to die and stuff like that. Interestingly enough, Braun wants to die, sort of just, while watching his kids argue over the money he's going to be leaving behind and things like that. And, Jamie is a little bit surprised that he'd want such a peaceful death. But, he wants that as like a contrast to the life he's lived, We all kind of want to die in sort of like a blissful point, you know what I mean? And Jamie says he wants to die in the arms of the woman he loves. And that, of course, be Cersei. And Braun sort of, I think that's how he pronounced his name anyway, Braun sort of questions him if, that person wants the same thing. And Jamie sort of brushes it off and they keep going. So yeah, I think Jamie sort of questions how much Cersei is really in love with him. I mean, Cersei has stated it before, but he still sort of wonders sometimes if they're really like seeing eye to eye as far as that goes. I don't know. Because Cersei has been unfaithful to him, a handful of times now. But that's always when he's gone, But still, yeah, I don't know. And the line that really got me with Jamie in this episode, though, was when Braun brought up, Jamie letting Tyrion escape or freeing him. And Jamie says, no, Varys freed him. And then Jamie says, and, that, Tyrion killed my father, and if I ever see him again, I'm going to split him in two. And that worries me a little bit, because not only because not only because Tyrion is my favorite character, but also because throughout the series we've seen that Jamie and Tyrion have a fairly good relationship, especially compared to how Tyrion's other siblings like Cersei and Tywin, look upon him. Compared to them, they have actually a pretty strong bond as brothers, at least up until this point. Because yes, Jamie obviously freed Tyrion at the end of season 4, or at least had a big hand in with Varys and stuff like that. But I don't think he actually expected him to go back and kill Tywin, especially, both of their father. And so I'm kind of questioning this because, of course, Jamie had to know what kind of person Tywin was. Of course, even Cersei does, even if she's just as bad, if not worse. But Jamie had to know what kind of man Tywin was, how he treated Tyrion over his life and stuff like that, and just the complete neglect and mistreatment that Tywin had given Tyrion over the years. So should Jamie really plan to kill Tyrion if he did that to Tywin? I mean, I guess Tywin perhaps looked at Jamie as sort of like the golden boy, the hopeful heir to the throne, or even at least becoming a knight. Because Tywin looked upon Jamie differently than he did Tyrion, so perhaps Jamie does have a stronger attachment to Tywin than Tyrion did, of course. But still, I don't really want to see these guys try to kill each other. So yeah, it kind of worries me that if Tyrion eventually does come back to King's Landing with the Mother of Dragons, will Jamie be there to defend it, and what will happen if the two see each other again, It's going to be pretty interesting. And so Jamie and Braun are traveling along, and then they run into a few people of Dorne, and they're forced to kill them. We get a good fight scene out of it. And Jamie is almost killed, but he actually catches a sword in his fake hand or whatever. And then the sword gets caught in, and he's able to impale the guy through the chest. And Braun said that was a nice move, but Jamie said it was just luck. And yeah, I do still like Jamie, even if his feelings towards Tyrion I feel are incorrect. I do still get it, and I do still like Jamie's character. I still think he's progressed quite a bit and developed a fair amount since we originally met him in season 1. And so that part was pretty good. Of course, we've seen a little bit more of the Sand Snakes. Of course, they're still planning to take revenge upon what happened to Oberyn, even though it wasn't a trial by combat that he agreed to. It's not like it was like a murder, Even though the Mountain probably would have murdered Oberyn at some point, it wasn't a murder. It was, actually like a official fight of an official contest. You know what I mean? But yeah, so we're gonna see what happens with that eventually. Maybe they'll even try to go after the Mountain himself, or maybe they'll just try to focus on like the Lannister family instead. I don't know. So that part was all pretty decent. And let's see, we also had some interesting stuff at the Wall for the Night's Watch. Interesting to see Jon Snow in command as a Lord Commander of the Night's Watch. Yeah, good to see him, but also, this new position offers a lot of its own obstacles too, because he has to deal with Stannis, and the Red Woman. And the Red Woman in this episode, she basically tried to seduce. She basically tried to seduce Jon Snow. And I was very proud of Jon right here because he refused her, saying he still, even though Ygritte is dead, he still has love for her, he's still in love with her, and, he kind of sees the vile that the Red Woman could easily cause by doing something like this, because the potential for, dispute between Stannis over it, and, of course, he might not have even found out Jon had gone through with it, but I still respected Jon here for not doing it, mostly for his own feelings being somewhere else. And so, yeah, it's finally good to see the Red Woman's seduction get rejected. I was pretty happy about that. I can't wait to see her die. She just, she has some kind of power about her, but I'd just rather see her impaled or bleed to death. I don't know. But so that was all pretty good. And we actually got a very interesting scene with Stannis in this episode. And he's always been sort of a multi-layered character in a way. Because you guys remember far back in Season 1, even Ned Stark believed to a certain extent that Stannis was the rightful heir to the throne, or not the heir, but the rightful one to take the throne, as opposed to like Joffrey and things like that, at least. And we've seen Stannis have his moments of almost like fairness and sort of like cruel, but yet tough and fair at the same time. But of course, he's had more extremist type of moments as well. And right here we see actually a bit of compassion and care from Stannis, because we see his original wife, or mother of his daughter, talk to him, and she apologizes for giving birth to such a weakling, a daughter who had a grayscale and things like that. And then we see Stannis talking to his daughter later, and his daughter sort of like basically asks him. She basically asks him if that's really true, if he thinks we're that way, and Stannis actually reassures her that he loves her very much and that she is his daughter very firmly. And so I was pretty. I respect Stannis a little bit more at this point too, even more than his original wife or mother to his children. So that was pretty touching, actually, surprisingly. And we also got a scene between Tyrion and Jorah Mormont. Jorah reveals, as I thought, that he isn't bringing Tyrion back to Cersei. He's bringing him to, Queen Daenerys Targaryen, our very own Mother of Dragons. Which is what I thought last week, but I've seen other people, like even Trev Chan too, whose reviews I absolutely love and watch every week. He thought he was bringing her back to Cersei, and no, I thought he was bringing her back to Daenerys, and I was right. I think that makes a lot more sense. He's trying to bring back Tyrion because he has a Lannister name, so he thinks Daenerys will just have Tyrion executed because of the name. But what he doesn't know is that Varys and Tyrion are actually on their way there in the first place, so Tyrion just starts laughing. So Tyrion's getting his way even though he just got captured. And Tyrion just ends up picking Jorah apart. It was really funny. Tyrion quickly recognizes who he is, and he knows he was like sent away by Daenerys, banished basically, exiled. And he just says, "Oh, what a desperate move this must be." He just kind of tears him apart verbally. Just completely picks him apart mentally and with such an intelligence about him too. And this gets little Jorah all angry and stuff like that, and he just like backhands or like knocks out Tyrion. Yeah, that makes he look like a big man, doesn't it? And Jorah, I've always found him to be a little bit boring, and now I dislike him too. So I don't know. Unfortunately, it looks like Daenerys might be in need of another bit of muscle on her side of things because of what happened with the Unsullied and and Barristan. Hold on. Yeah, Barristan. Yeah. Barristan. Yeah, whatever you want to say. I apologize. But, and then the final scene we sort of got for the episode was, seeing the Unsullied patrolling the streets, and then they hear, they hear screams on that same prostitute, that slashed Unsullied's throat earlier in the season, points them in the direction, but of course she smirks afterwards after they run off, and then it basically leads the Unsullied into an ambush, by the Sons of Harpy. And, yes, the Unsullied have better armor, they have, the spears, better weapons, whereas, the Sons of Harpy, they just have, like, the cloth clothing and the daggers and the masks and stuff like that, which are really, like, kind of freaky to look at, I guess, but not overly, just a little weird, But, nonetheless, we get a very brutal fight in this, type of alleyway here, and, we see mostly Unsullied are actually killed, except Grey Worm, who actually kills quite a few of the Sons of Harpy by himself. And Barristan eventually comes along after speaking with Daenerys, and sharing a story about his father. He sees Grey Worm under attack, and he tries to save him. He actually draws a few of the Sons of Harpy away from him, and kills a handful of them himself before being stabbed repeatedly and sort of falling down to the ground. Grey Worm was able to kill a couple more that were around him and kill the one just before he was about to slash Barristan's throat. Unfortunately, it looks like Barristan has died and succumbed to his wounds anyway, which is ironic because of the whole speech he is giving to Daenerys. A lot of shows seem to do that. They give a character a big moment, then they kill him. But yeah, I'm kind of glad Grey Worm is still most likely to be alive. He'll be wounded, but I think he'll heal. Hopefully, anyway. And but yeah, even if it's just Barristan that's dead, that kind of calls for Jorah to sort of make a comeback with Daenerys, even if she does take Tyrion in. I think Jorah will be kind of surprised that Tyrion sort of like works his way into business with her. So that'll be kind of funny to see. But, yeah, so that's pretty much all I have to say about this episode. We also got a scene between Sansa and Baelish in this episode. He was leaving her at Castle Black with, Ramsay and the rest of them, which is still a very disgusting arrangement. Sansa having to get married and be with Ramsay, I really hope it turns around for her. And, yeah, we'll see how that all goes. And yeah, that's pretty much what I think about this week's episode. If you guys want to talk about anything that I forgot or just didn't mention, feel free to leave a comment. We'd love to talk about it with you guys more. And yeah, another decent episode. Not anything like amazing yet this season, but they've all been pretty solid so far, despite the slower pace. And the show's always been a slow burn anyway, for the most part, so I can't really complain. And it's always done with a decent quality, like I said earlier. So yeah, I'll catch you guys next time. Next two videos you'll probably be seeing from me are a video talking about the recently released Season 2 trailer for FX's The Strain, and I'll also be doing a video showing off the John Carpenter's Halloween 35th Anniversary Blu-ray disc. So yeah, look forward to those later, and I'll catch you guys next time. And peace.